Hi there, I'm Vincent Bos, and I'm a life coach, relationship coach, and breakup coach. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing this happens before your ex reaches out. I provide audio coaching for breakup recovery, trying to get an ex back, attracting someone new, and life coaching. Visit www.dateme.tips for more details. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. Subscribe to my weekly support emails. The link is in the description. So now let's get back into today's podcast. And today we are discussing this happens before your ex reaches out. So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, there are things that happen before this takes place. In today's podcast, I'll be discussing the 3 things that will happen before your ex reaches out. So let's get straight into this, and point number 1 is they experience a different life. So it's important to understand from the perspective of a dumpee that if you want to try to get your ex back, they are going to have to live a different life to what they have been living with you. Now maybe this means they were literally physically living with you, or perhaps you didn't live together, but of course you had your own schedule, pattern, the life that you shared together in a relationship. Either way, this lifestyle has unfortunately come to an end. Now it doesn't mean you can't get your ex back, but it does mean your ex-dumper is going to have to experience new things before they might even consider to come back. And this is very important to get your head round, because when dumpees are trying to scramble to get their ex back in the days and weeks following a breakup, most of the time you will unfortunately not be able to achieve your goal. Now please don't get me confused. If you have been told that a relationship is over during that breakup conversation, you might be able to turn it round at the time and almost cancel the breakup before it's finalised. But if your ex-dumper doesn't change their mind, if they hold their thoughts and say, look, this relationship is over, I'm not going to continue with you. If this relationship ends officially, the breakup has taken place, it is very unlikely indeed that you will be able to get them back in the days or weeks following. Can it happen? Yes, it can happen. Is it likely to happen? No. So please don't have your heart set on reconnecting anytime soon. This is really important, but if you believe that you can and almost need to get your ex back in the first few days or weeks post-breakup, you can really crash from your mental health perspective if it doesn't happen. And that's why I'm here to tell you it's not likely to. I want to protect you from that pain of you thinking, oh no, I didn't get my ex back in those first few days or weeks. I didn't get them back within 30 days. Like some people unfortunately promote online. That is not likely to happen. If it does, you're lucky. If it does, there's an argument to be made that the breakup never really got finalised and it was kind of sorted in a long-winded way before the dust had settled. Some people will get lucky, but most won't. And if you have this belief that you need to get them back in those first few days or weeks, then unfortunately you're going to have big problems ahead. Big problems because if you don't get them back during that time and you think you need to, your mental health is going to decline and you are going to have a situation where you feel that you have quote-unquote failed. If you feel that way, you are going to fall further down in your thought process. You're going to likely achieve less. You are very likely to make errors of judgment, chasing your ex, texting, calling, knocking on their door, desperation setting in because you've set yourself an unrealistic expectation. That inadvertently pushes your ex-dumper further away. You need to almost allow them to live this new life to increase the chance of them one day coming back. And this is what I'm talking about when I'm saying this happens before your ex reaches out. The first thing is that they will experience a different life. They need to see how things are post-breakup in a different way, in a different world, without being your partner. Now, I refer to this as the single honeymoon period. It generally lasts 6 to 12 months post-breakup, of where the dumper will live a life that they couldn't do within the relationship. It's different. They're mixing with different people. I know you don't want to hear that, but it is likely to be the case. Sometimes, though, they might just want to spend quality time alone, experiencing things that they didn't within your relationship, such as hobbies, interests. Solo travel is also a possibility. But you almost need to let them get this out of their system before there is a chance that they might want to reconnect. You can't try and stop your ex leaving the relationship once they've already checked out. And once they've had this breakup conversation, once things are finalised, once the dust is settled, unfortunately, you as a dumpee need to focus on you rather than your ex. You must allow them to live this life, because if you don't, if you chase, if you beg, if you plead, this is going to decrease the chance of you one day getting your ex back. Whereas if you let them live this life, as scary as this might seem, and although nothing can be guaranteed, it certainly increases the chance of one day them coming through the other side of a single honeymoon period, self-reflecting and thinking, well, my ex-dumpee wasn't that bad a person. In fact, I actually now wish I hadn't have broken up with them, and now I might reach out. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast. Please give this video a like and let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you like my content, subscribe to the channel to keep updated. And point number 2 is they forgive you. So today we're speaking about this happens before your ex reaches out. And we've already spoke about the fact that they need to live this different life. They need to get it out of their system. They need to experience different things to have an opportunity of actually thinking, you know what, this was an error of judgment. But on top of this, your ex-dumper, if they were to come back to you, would have forgiven you. Now this doesn't necessarily mean that you have done anything particularly wrong. It doesn't mean that you've definitely done something terrible that they need to forgive you for. However, it could do. Maybe you cheated on your partner and they ended the relationship. So for them to reconsider their decision and want to get back together, they would have to forgive you for you cheating on them. If you were really bad with money and spent some money that you shouldn't have done, maybe it was supposed to be for bills and you spent it on something else, your ex-dumper is going to have to forgive you for what you have done before they want to reconnect. But it's not always as black and white as that. That is somewhat obvious. If you've done something really bad, of course, they will have to forgive you before they might come to a decision of wanting to reconnect. But a lot of the time, you probably haven't done anything terribly bad. Perhaps instead, it was just the life that you two were living was no longer gelling. It was no longer meshing. You were no longer growing in the same direction. Maybe you were complacent. Maybe you were just drifting in different directions. In this regard, your ex-dumper, in essence, needs to forgive you from their thoughts of you not being their ideal match. Now that might sound a bit of a tongue twister, but it's absolutely the case. Even if you haven't really done anything wrong, other than being a different type of person to what your ex-dumper felt they needed at that part in their life, they need in their own mindset to forgive you. They need in their own mindset to forgive you from not being the person that they wanted at that time. Because unless they come to that conclusion, they will not want to come back. You must bear in mind that somebody only ends a relationship because they've lost romantic emotional attraction. They've lost so much romantic emotional attraction, it's hit the necessary low point, and they've actioned a breakup. At this time, they are not believing that you two are a good match moving forward. They're not feeling fulfilled. They're not feeling satisfied. They don't believe that you two together will bring them the forever happiness that they desire. And as much as that might hurt to hear, can we really blame them? We can't really blame you or anybody else if you want to feel happiness, satisfaction and fulfillment and you're not feeling it right now. If you believe it's not going in the right direction, can anybody blame someone for wanting to go down a different path? This is what your ex-dumper decided to do. They didn't believe that you was right for them anymore. Now, of course, you used to be, okay? You were together in a loving relationship. They would have loved you in a romantic sense at one time. They perhaps still love you to some degree right now as an ex, but they need to love you in a romantic sense once more. They need to forgive you for not being quite that person that they decided that you weren't when they ended the relationship. Maybe it was complacency, okay? That isn't something where you've done something drastically wrong, but the erosion of the romantic attraction can drop if you're behaving in a way which is complacent. They would need to forgive you for this. So whether it is something really obvious, really clear, or whether it is something really subtle, really something that you didn't even know, this is something they need to do in their own mind, because if they can't forgive you for the things that they felt you were no longer a match, well, unfortunately, you won't be able to reconnect. Now, if you would like advice and support about how to try and increase the chance of one day getting your ex back, then you may want to consider my audio coaching service, where me and you can speak one-on-one about your unique specific situation. This is the best and diamond level of support that I can provide. Go to my website www.dateme.tips for more information about how I can become your coach and your teammate via my audio coaching service. Talking about your feelings can also improve your mental health. It helps prevent the buildup of negative emotions, which can lead to stress, anxiety, depression, and even physical health issues. Speak your heart to free your mind. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast. If you feel that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description. And point number 3 is they miss you. Now this is the main element, of course, if you want to try to get your ex back. You can't get them back unless they miss you. And although, once again, this might sound somewhat obvious, please let me explain why it's not. This isn't something which is quite as clear as it might seem initially. You might hear from your ex post-breakup. This is certainly not rare for a dumpee to hear from their ex-dumper. But the reason you hear from them could vary. Are you hearing from them for a necessary reason? If you are, then it is exactly what it says on the tin. Okay, it's necessary. For instance, they want their work laptop that they left at your house. That isn't because they miss you. That isn't because they want to reconnect. It's because their work laptop is at your house and they need it. Now, maybe it won't be quite as clear as that, but you need to differentiate whether or not the contact you receive is necessary. Now, you might think, okay, it's either necessary or unnecessary. Yes, but even when it's unnecessary, is it from a place of romance? Now, you might receive contact from your ex-dumper asking how you are. How are you? How's it going? Now, is this leading into reconnection? Well, it could be. But is it leading to them asking how you are because they are worried due to something you've posted online which has concerned them? Now, that's where it might be differentiated between them actually missing you to them feeling worried about you. We don't want your ex-dumper showcasing pity, showcasing concern. Okay, maybe you think that's nice, but if you want to get them back, you can't have that as the reason they're reaching out. We need them to miss you. So when we're talking about this happens before your ex reaches out, this is what we need to consider. Are they reaching out for the right reason? Is it for a necessary reason? Is it due to pity or worry? Is it for a romantic sense of missing you? This is how you will be able to consider how things are likely to move forward. If you receive contact from your ex and it's for an unnecessary reason, and it's not because they are worried, it's not because there is an angle of pity, then this is where things could be going very well indeed. Now, they're not likely to say to you, hey, I really miss you, let's get back together. Okay, it's not normally quite as Disney-esque as that. Often, it can be quite random. It can be something such as, hey, did you know that your favourite movie is on next week? And you might think, well, that's really weird. We haven't spoken in 9 months. Why are they reaching out and telling me this? Have they forgot they dumped me? This makes no sense. It's not necessary contact. It's also showcasing something which isn't pity or worry, but it's also not saying I miss you. What does this mean? Well, when we consider the options, it is actually more to do with them missing you in a romantic sense. This is what is really, really powerful. They're using, in the regard that I've described, something called the indirect direct approach. It's indirect because they're contacting you for something which isn't obvious, but it is direct because it is directly to you. If you receive unnecessary contact and it is something which is not pity or worry, they are missing you. And this is the first step to you reconnecting once more. Now, there are further hurdles to go. You are now in the communication stage. That will then evolve into the meeting stage. And we then have to get over the hurdle of whether this missing you, even if it came from a romantic sense initially, whether that is going to maintain or whether, unfortunately, it could develop into a platonic missing you. That's another conversation for another podcast and something that you will have to consider as you're moving forward. But when we look at this happens before your ex reaches out, we have to consider what the reach out is about and what it might mean. If you want to get your ex back, this is how it has to play out. They need to get to the stage of where they've lived a different life and they no longer feel that this is for them, and they actually start to reconsider their decision due to you not bothering them and them starting to wonder about you a little more. They have to forgive you for the things that you may have obviously done, or maybe the things which were more subtle, and they then need to miss you. If they're not missing you, then it's not coming from a place which is going to be helpful if you want to reconnect.